Good morning.
Good morning.
I interrupted my beauty rest.
Chris, we'll go right to you. Take the first question from Chris Nee.
Leonard, I got two questions about Colorado. One, how important is it to keep them away from the free throw line because they're so good at the free throw line? And two, obviously, they went 16 for 25 from deep yesterday, so people are going to focus on offense, but they're a really good defensive team, aren't they?
You don't be here at this level by not being a good basketball team. Every game we go out, we like to try to play defense without fouling. Some games we do, some games we don't. There's a skill to drawing fouls. There's a skill to developing a pretty good being a good perimeter shooting team. When you look back at their overall tendencies, they have a lot of tendencies, and they're capable of having a good shooting day like they did. But they're also capable of having a shooting day like we did yesterday. We're the #1 3-point shooting team in the ACC, and we go 0 for. So my whole point is that, and when you get to the NCAA tournament, even though you can't catch every raindrop, you got to be on point, and you got to be able to make adjustments. We got to defend their 3-point shooting, and when you do that, you open up lanes for them to drive, for the little point guard to drive and draw fouls. So you have to be sound fundamentally. You got to be able to adjust. Hopefully we'll be able to do that. This is, our team is we make a lot of in-game adjustments. It probably doesn't necessarily meet the public eye. But they're a good team, and whatever adjustments we make to them, they're gonna try to counter. If you take away the fact that they made 16 however many threes they made yesterday, then you opened up the lanes, and then now you playing right into giving the gaps, making the gaps so wide that now they can penetrate and get inside in the interior. So it's the team is going to win that comes the closest to being who they are with the most efficiency. So one system versus another system. Not as much individual players as it is systems, that work to be effective. That's what makes this the NCAA basketball tournament, in my opinion, the best sporting event in the world, because you have so many variables, and that makes the difference in whether or not you win the games or not. So they're studying us, we're studying them. And so now, who's gonna be effective? That's why one of the reasons why we are where we are in our development of our program, I think it's because of our system. And now that we're trying to fit players, we're trying to recruit players that fit our system, and we still got some tweaking we have to do. We got to defend their threes. We got to make sure we keep them off the foul line, and then we got to be a lot depends on, are we going to just be the best of who we are, and we still a work in progress. All right.
Go to Kurt Weiler.
You're coming off facing one really impressive guard in Isaiah Miller, and now you're going up against another in McKinley, right? I guess, what does he do well from studying the film?
Well, he's probably a little better perimeter shooter than Miller, but he's probably he's extremely confident, and I would say 60%. Maybe even more of what they do depends on him being able to initiate it. He's so talented that you spend all your time worrying about him, and you give some of those other guys opportunities to contribute a little bit more. But you can almost say that though about every team that's here in the ACC, in the final 32, whatever they call it. That's why they're here, because they have great players, well coached, great schemes, tremendous systems. He's similar to some of the guards we faced in the ACC. And I mean, I don't know whether he is at John Moran's level, but he's awful close. When you go back and read the articles and talk to people who have seen him play very much, they got a tremendous amount of respect for him. He's a handful, there's no doubt about that. But you have to be careful is that when you give a person so much attention, then you open up opportunities for everybody else. It's going to be Florida State against Colorado, and we have to hopefully have defensive schemes that that'll be effective against an outstanding player. It's a little more challenging with us because we switch 1 through 5. Most people don't do that. Most people don't isolate their center, their 7-foot center, on a high power, high scoring, quick, athletic guard, point guard. They prefer to match quickness and speed with quickness and speed. Our system is a little different. It's give and take. Are we effective handling all other things, and do we put maybe at a physical disadvantage? That's the decision that they have to make, because we're gonna be who we are, and if it's effective, and then we'll make adjustments as we have to.
Go to Lane Hurt.
Coach, that really leads into my question. Your system, you've never been afraid to pick up a ball handler 90 feet, deny a ball handler on the inbounds, like you said, switch 1 through 5. Why do you feel it's so important to throw so many different looks and bodies at a team's ball handler?
Well, it's not just the ball handler. You know, we've evolved over the years that we know that if you allow a team to go and do what they do every day in practice, that's pretty much plays into what they want to do. But sometimes switching through 1 through 5, even though it has its strengths and its weaknesses, what you do, you don't make it as easy for them to do what they normally do on a regular basis. So they have to make an adjustment. So you have to make a decision. Is it better for them? They have to do something that they don't normally do every day, and make an adjustment, and then maybe you be put at risk, maybe in the isolation with the point guard on the 5, if that's the only spot where you at risk, because basically all our other guys at all my other 4 positions are capable of quick enough and athletic enough to guard any position. So now, and then if you remember correctly, when we had Bernard James, he was quick enough and athletic enough that he could guard a smaller guards. Now, and if you look back over what we've done in the past, sometimes we put Phil Kofer at the 5 and go smaller, but we still would be big because our wings are long and athletic as well. So we would go small in terms of who we are, but we still big enough and athletic enough to compete because our overall size is effective enough. So my point is we take all those things in consideration. I just spent a 45-minute conversation with CY, and just 4 minutes ago before we started this, just talking about, you know, those things that you're asking us about now. So we're prepared to maybe go small and put Raquan Gregg at the 5 position, and make the adjustment. So I think we equipped, you know, to make whatever adjustments we have to in relation to what we think we have to do in order for us to be successful with the system that we use. I hope that makes some sense to you.
Go to Ira.
Hey, Coach, I know you talked yesterday about the team being a little bit anxious at times during that game, but were you pleased with the composure they showed down the stretch? And do you think it's a result of maybe some of the games you guys have had this season where teams have had made runs late, and now they were maybe better equipped to handle it?
Well, I think you see when they cut it to one, I thought our defensive intensity and our ability, we kind of became a lot sounder. I think we became much more aggressive in terms of contesting shots, in terms of blocking out, in terms of going after the ball, which I was pleased with. But I also think that on the negative side, we were very anxious shooting the ball. I thought we were, mentally and emotionally revved up, so to speak. And I think that had an effect on our perimeter shooting ability. Today, being that we came from, you kind of get out of a routine when you go to ACC tournament. You don't have access to the gym time that you're accustomed to. We have a system where we call it 20-minute hits, where my assistant coaches, mostly Coach Young, and he'll get individually, he'll have 3 guys at one time. And when you're at home, as soon as we get through with our pregame meal, he'll have groups and they kind of groove their shot mentally and emotionally and skill-wise. Well, when you on the road, you don't have access to gyms to be able to stay in that shooting rhythm. This morning, we got a 2-hour period. What's all we're doing? All we're doing is getting groups and getting back into that groove. We'll do that today, and we'll have some tomorrow, and hopefully that'll help us get back into that shooting rhythm. The game of basketball is where it's such that you have to make decisions in 0.5 seconds. You got to be able to, you see in the whole court, you got 10 guys on the court. So 9 of them, you got to see all at the same time. If I'm looking at you, I see Kurt, I see everybody on the screen, but I'm looking at you because of peripheral vision. Sometimes in some sports that you're looking at one ball, one rack, one thing. Here, you got to make decisions quickly. And you got to have hand-eye coordination. You got to have muscle memory. You got to be able to anticipate, where a guy's going to be. And when you develop those kinds of skills, you make better decisions. And I think that's offensively and defensively. So when you get out of rhythm and you've been gone for 10 days and you're not really doing that, you're only preparing for games, you got a limited amount of practices, and you don't get a chance to shoot in the place where you go play, sometimes that affects you. Some guys are less affected than others, and this is our routine. So hopefully we can, next day or so, as the field pairs down, if we can keep winning, maybe we might have more access and we can get back to our routine.
Any more questions for Coach? Right, we'll bring Raycron right in.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, Coach.
Appreciate it.
Kurt, you got a question for Raekwon?
Sure. Yeah. I guess, I mean, you've had the chance now. I know you talked a little about Colorado lately. I guess I'm sure you looked at them more yesterday, last night. What, I guess, with more you've seen, what stands out about the challenges they present?
Offensively, it's obviously, I would say first off, they're from Pac-12, and Pac-12 basketball is different from the East Coast, but they have a good offensive system over there. A lot of talented players. Definitely a great point guard, McKinley Wright. He's a dog. He's one of the competitive guys you can tell already. We're just watching film, and I watched him a few times late night this year. So I mean, he's definitely what makes their team go, and he's a great guy. They have great pieces around him, so I think it's going to be a great game. I mean, they're a good offensive team.
The follow-up, Kurt? Go to Chris Nee.
Hey, Raekwon, you've obviously been in a few NCAA tournaments now. Can you talk about the preparation, how it feels different for game one versus game two? Is there maybe less jitters for game two because you have a game under your belt?
Yeah, I would say less jitters. Still the same excitement though. Still the same focus. I think it's more of a mental thing than physical. At this point of the year, you're not gonna be able to get on the court all the time and walk through things. So you have to sit there and watch film and kind of get an understanding for teams and learn personnel on the fly. So we play with a one-day turnaround, but our coach is going to do a great job preparing us. Like I've been saying all year, I think we have the best staff in the country of preparing us again, ready for scouts. And I think our coaches will be able to do that this upcoming game. I think we'll be locked in on it and focus on what we need to focus on in order to get this victory.
Go to Lane Hurt.
Coach's philosophy has always been to switch 1 through 5, not afraid to pick up ball handler 90 feet, try to deny a ball handler. How important is it when you're facing an elite guard like McKinley Wright to throw a lot of bodies at him and give him a lot of different looks?
It's very important. I don't think you've seen that all year, with this size and athleticism, but but it's very important. He's a great player. He's definitely a poised guy. He's an older guy, mature guy. You can tell, the pace of his game, not too many things rattle him. So, we're just trying to figure out ways that we can affect the game and, bother him a little bit. But I think that he's a great player. Like I said, he'll be able to handle kind of whatever we throw at him. But, we'll definitely try our best to, rattle him a little bit.
Go to Irish Rafael.
Hey, man, seeing so many really good basketball teams already going home. Some of the top seeds in the tournament have already gone home. Just how grateful are you guys to, even though people will say it wasn't the prettiest win, to just have to keep playing and have more opportunities to play in this tournament?
I mean, we're extremely grateful. At this point in March, it's not about 20-point wins or, a 30-point win, stuff like that. We want to win by half a point, 1 point. Coach Jones always say, if we stop them for the rest of the game and we're up 3 points, we're going to win the game. So, I mean, we can take a 1 point, 2 point win as long as we win. The whole motto of this tournament is survive and advance. And I think we did that. And as long as we keep doing that, as long as possible, then we'll be in the right spot. So, I mean, we'll take a 1 point win, 2 point win. As long as we keep playing and, showcasing our talents on the weekends, we'll take it.
And then if I could follow up, Chuck, just did you feel like down the stretch of that game that maybe your guys' experience in tournament play maybe helped a little bit, just kind of not get rattled, because a lot of you guys have played in the postseason?
I think it had a part of it, and I also think it was our coaching staff. I think we have an older team, but also an inexperienced team. Not many guys have been here. Besides me, MJ, White, and Anthony. I mean, other than that, you can't really say that guys have been here. So I think our coach did a great job of kind of calming us down and, rotating the guys early, just the, excitement, catching their win and stuff like that. So I think they did a great job of kind of managing us throughout the game and, kind of easing us back into, ourselves and, our identity, because we haven't played in 6 or 7 days. So it's kind of different, being out there, obviously excited and stuff like that. But I think our coaches had a huge part of, in that win yesterday too, just calming us down and, keeping us relaxed.
Go to Don Tibbetts.
Hey, Raekwon. Coach just kind of got done mentioning it. But, with Colorado, a team that can beat you guys in so many ways, there might be different looks in the lineup on the court at one given time. But that's something that's not new to you guys necessarily. So at this point in the season, with your guys' ability to be so versatile, how key is that in order, for you guys to come out and go get the win?
It's super important. I think we can play many different lineups too. From tall to small. It just depends on what they're doing. I think our coaches can counter pretty much any lineup they put out. So it just depends on what kind of lineup they have and what kind of counter with that. We switch everything like you said, and we got guys that can guard 1 through 5 from Boston guarding the point guards to me guarding the centers to Ray Evans to guarding the centers, stuff like that. So I mean, it's just about what the personnel they have on the floor, and I think our coaches can counter it and put us in a pretty good position to be able to execute offensively and defensively. So.
Anybody have any follow-up questions for Raekwon?
Yeah, I got a follow-up, Chuck. I mean, just to build off what you just said, I mean, how much do you guys relish the challenge of guarding different positions, playing different positions? Coach Ham mentioned that, there's some lineups that you could potentially be playing the 5 tomorrow. How much do you relish that chance, and how much do you guys appreciate coaches trusting you guys to be able to carry it out?
I mean, I think I always said that people try to label me as a certain position. I think as long as I'm on the floor, I think I can impact the game. Whether that's point guard or the 5-man, I mean, it doesn't matter. I think Coach Ham trusted me to be able to be in a position that, and it's definitely a plus as a team. To be able to have that trust from your coach to be able to finish out games and be able to go to different lineups and give different teams different looks, because not many teams can do that. And I think they do a great job of recruiting guys that you had a luxury of doing that. You can put Scotty at the 5 if you wanted to. So it's definitely, positive on this team, and Coach Ham definitely believes in what he has, on his bench, and be able to rotate guys and, find out different lineups that works at that time. So I think it's like I said, it's all coaching. They do a great job of knowing who we are and game planning and, putting the right personnel out for the time and moment of that game. So.
Anybody with any more questions for Raekwon? All right, we're all set, guys. Raekwon, thank you very much.
Thanks, Vince.
Guys, call me if you
Appreciate
need
it.
me. I'll have notes in a couple hours.
Thank you.
Thanks,
you, Coach.
everybody.
Appreciate it.